Ukraine is facing a brutal turning point in the war, and you need to know why this isn't just dangerous for Kiev, but for the entire global balance of power. As Western streams of military and financial aid begin to quietly dry up, you are witnessing a strategic shift that could undo everything Ukraine has fought for over the past 2 years. This is no longer just a story of bravery and resistance. It's a survival chessboard, where every disappearing piece of support pushes the whole structure closer to collapse. Have you noticed how, in recent months, the US has taken weeks to approve the next aid package, while the European Union hesitates, bogged down by political instability and post-pandemic budget pressure? What few dare to say out loud is this: Ukraine is now fighting with a shrinking arsenal and fading international confidence. Russia knows this, and you must understand, Russia isn't just fighting with weapons, it's fighting with time. Every day Ukraine doesn't receive more HIMARS, artillery shells, or armored vehicles is another day Russian forces regroup, rebuild, and push forward. Look at Kharkiv, once a symbol of fierce resistance, now slipping into a reactive posture. Russia doesn't need to capture the entire city. It only needs to force Ukraine to stretch its forces thin, defending it, weakening other fronts. And more alarmingly, internal signals from Kiev suggest exhaustion, both military and political. When you see President Zelensky replacing multiple top generals, you have to ask, is this a strategic refresh or a desperate move to contain a crumbling front? But hiding behind the slowdown in aid is a much darker question. Could the West be quietly preparing for a no-win conclusion? A silent deal? A frozen conflict like Korea, where Ukraine remains divided, drained, and dependent indefinitely? You might think that's just speculation, but when Western politicians start mentioning peace talks more than victory, it's no longer coincidence. It's a signal. And if that happens, the consequences won't stop at Kiev. You live in a world where if Ukraine loses ground, China will learn that time and economic pressure can break the West's will, and Taiwan will be the next victim. Iran, North Korea, and even extremist forces in the Middle East will take note. If you hold out long enough, the international order will fracture. That's not paranoia, it's historical pattern. But here's another hidden truth few will say aloud. It's not Moscow's missiles, but the division inside the West that is becoming its greatest gift. The upcoming elections in the US and Europe could completely shift the aid narrative. If a new government rises with the slogan "America First" or "Focus on Home," Ukraine's lifeline could be severed overnight. You think aid is guaranteed? That's the first mistake. Every package of support is a political battlefield, and voter fatigue can become a death sentence for a nation under siege. You need to realize that you're living in a time when every drop of ink on a resolution carries more weight than 100 missiles. The war's direction isn't just being decided in trenches or skies, it's in the committee rooms, the parliaments, and yes, in your own perception. Every shift in your attention, every drop in public interest, adds pressure on leaders to pull back support. So, is the war turning? Not just on the battlefield. It's turning in strategy rooms, in the hearts of Western voters, and in the minds of those deciding whether this is still worth fighting for. The silence of aid is not just logistical, it's psychological. It tells Ukraine, hold on alone. And it tells the world, maybe defending freedom has an expiration date. You're witnessing a game where power doesn't need to fire the first shot. It only needs to plant doubt. And once the doubt takes root, democracy, alliances, and even truth start to fade. Russia doesn't have to win outright. It only needs us to stop believing Ukraine can. If you think this will all work itself out, you've already stepped into the softest trap of all: apathy. The real question now is, are you ready to face the cost if the world chooses to look away?